Hey everybody, it's Jillian. Okay, guys. So I want to really pound this in your head. This is for Massimo Ponzi. I should like tag him in this because, sometimes some of you guys will have a very, you guys will, I don't know, will really be confused because of the way the language is. But weak immune, okay, so here's what is immunity? Immunity is antibodies. When you have too many antibodies, guess what? The system shuts down. So let's take it for an example, somebody that's AB positive. Okay, you have the A surface marker antigen, and you have the B surface marker antigen, and then you're the Rh factor of positive, which is a rhesus monkey gene that is a virus that you're testing positive for. So you're A, B, so you have surface marker antigen A, surface marker antigen B, and you are Rh positive. That's a lot of antigen in your body that creates antibodies. So now if you're, let's say you're O negative, let's say somebody's O negative in your world, and they need a blood transfusion. Well, you cannot get blood from somebody that's AB positive. There is no freaking way, because guess what? All of those antigens that are in the AB positive blood type will create antibodies. When you have too many antibodies, it shuts down the body. That is why you cannot take blood from somebody that is AB positive if you're O negative, because too many antibodies all at once will shut the system down. So imagine you're taking in all of these negative elements that are like antigen, or elements that are causing imbalances. Let's say magnesium. Let's say somebody says, oh yeah, you're depressed, so you need magnesium supplements, or you're vitamin D deficient. You need to have vitamin D. So here, let me give you a supplement. Well, guess what? You're throwing the balance off the body. So that is like a poison. It's a pathogen. So when you're taking in pills, powder, supplements, and you're exposed to, let's say, vaccines, or somebody recently vaccinated, and these are all poisons. So you get bit by a rattlesnake too, or you get bit by an animal that has rabies, that has antigen, that is pathogens. It creates antibodies. And so now you are accumulating so many antibodies. And let's say you're smoking pot. Say you're smoking lots of pot, has THC antibodies. So when you go get a drug test, you're testing positive for for a lot of antibodies of pot. It alters your reality. It alters your reaction time, your cognition, and it kills brain cells. Okay, so when you have a very strong immune system to where you are never ever sick, ever. So this is where people get really mixed up about sickness, okay, and about when you're in a context of taking on antibodies and you've been heavily vaccinated, or you're taking on cannabis or other detoxes, or you're taking on zeolite, you're taking on heavy metals because you're trying, or chemotherapy, or whatever else, you are now making your immune system so strong that you're never ever going to see symptoms. So it kills the pathogens, but guess what it's also killing? It's killing good tissue too, because you have now a very strong immune system, which then makes a very weak body. So your strong immune system, so that natural immunity that you're getting in breastfeeding, you're taking on all your predecessors' antibodies that it was ever exposed to. And that's what creates family history. Family history is passing along antibodies that your predecessors were exposed to throughout the genetic line, because nobody has corrected the mutations, for one, so that these strong antibodies will cause mutations. Now, hey, that's fine that you get natural immunity. So when you are exposed to something in the environment, the body's not going to completely react. But guess what? Even taking in your mom's antibodies does cause a mutation. It may not seem like it's a huge shift or a huge upset of homeostasis, like if you take a vaccine or you contracted an illness, because any illness out there is taking on a pathogen your body doesn't recognize, and it's causing inflammation, and it creates antibodies. But every single time you get natural immunity through breast milk, or you're getting it through vaccines, or you're getting it in the environment, any antigen the body gets exposed to, okay, will take on it will take on an antibody, no matter what. And you can change your blood type to where you can purge out the antigen. And so it's not, and here's the thing, Trisha Clark. So we inherited the RH factor in the womb. RH factor was introduced through vaccines, or how? Can we change our? Well, of course, you read my book, Trisha. You haven't gotten my book. I have said in my book time and time again, read my book, you guys. You guys that are still playing in the holistic allopathic world, you need to get my book. I do cover the RH factor. Yes, you can freaking change your blood type. Yes, you can. Because the blood type is a surface marker antigen that's not being purged. Antibodies get created from the antigen. So people can change the blood type because it's antigen. It's not an antibody yet. When you get a titer test and you're testing positive for all these different diseases, also the difference is how much of the antibodies that are circulating in your system. This is why when somebody goes to the hospital because they have an allergic reaction to a type of antibiotic, and they have too many white blood cells, which is too many antibodies being created. Those are natural killer cells. They have to take in a saline solution to dilute the antibody count so they can stabilize a person so they don't freaking die. That's what the RH and the blood types are, is antigen that then translates into antibodies. So when you have a very strong immune system, you have a weak fucking body, and then yes, you are seeing cancer, disease, chronic illness, and aging happen. So when you actually have a weak immune system but a strong body, it means that your body was able to take the hit and repair the damage, and it doesn't need to accumulate antibodies to protect you. This whole thing with protection is like a psychological operation. Okay? It really is. Because when you are introduced to cannabis, let's say you did smoke cannabis at one point, because when they ask people, when they go into these specific jobs like police field or whatever, law enforcement, and they ask on a lie detector test, without even giving you a drug test, have you ever smoked pot? Ever? Well, they know that when they actually do a titer test, when they check your blood, they'll know that if you've ever smoked pot or been around it or even smoked it. And I don't know if being around pot or smoking it has a difference, but if you're around pot and you get in some of that THC, it will create an antibody. How weak or how strong is based upon how it got administered, whether it was in the room or whether you actually took and inhaled. But whatever, they will ask you, and then they will see then the difference. If you're a chronic user, they can see and count the antibodies. That's how you guys get fired from your jobs if you smoke pot, because they count the antibodies. They know people have been exposed to pot. They know people, so they don't look at whether or not you tested positive, like overall positive. They know everybody that's been exposed to a pathogen will have that antibody in the body, and it's marked. It's marked. Every antibody is marked. Okay? And so all that data is in a center where then when they do tests, they can look and say, okay, oh, well, it has this type of structural thing. It means that it's this antibody, it's this THC, or it's this flu strain, or it's this measles strain. And that's how they are able to see whether or not you've been vaccinated or not, because if you have the antibody, that's what titer tests are, is antibody. How many antibodies have you been exposed to, and to what level do you have them? And if you have a very strong level of protection, you have a very weak body. But you're not going to have an upset of homeostasis, which then brings you into like where you're incapacitated for a certain amount of time. That's why they want you guys to be all protected, because they want you to at least take the hit and deal with this. So that way, if it ever comes around you, you're not going to be laid up for like 3 or 4 weeks because your body couldn't handle that upset of homeostasis. They don't want you taking time off of your job to go deal with an exposure to a pathogen. They want you exposed to it right away, and you deal with it with whatever weak virus that they have in the vaccine. And then, hey, when you're in an environment where somebody has it, you're not going to be taken down and incapacitated and in your house, not producing in our society. That's the whole reason why vaccines is to make sure that you don't upset the homeostasis of your productivity levels. Okay? So, yeah. So you can change your blood type. And I've said it in my book, you could potentially change your blood type. It is possible. Okay? So if you have a weak immune system, That's freaking awesome. It means that you have been able to, because look, you've been able to dilute the amount of antibodies that are causing more mutation, causing and chipping away at the weakness in your body. Because if you actually, you're exposed to something and then your body creates inflammation, it creates an antibody, natural killer cells, T cells, lymphocytes, all that. And then you fix the mutation. So it's not mutated anymore. You fix the mutation, but you still have the antibody. You have a strong body because you're able to fix that mutation. What is going on is you guys are all taking on all these antibodies and you're not fixing the mutation. You are now a walking, mutated, completely deformed person that is trying to compete with different levels of mutations in our society. And that's what creates the diversity. That's why you're having issue with this protocol, because you think having a strong immune system is the way to be, when really it actually is the death of you. And if you're all religious, then you think death is expected, then you're not going to care if you're taking on more antibodies. You're going to want a strong immune system. That way you can see the afterlife quicker than some other person. Okay, so a weak immune system and a strong body is indefinite life because you've overcome that mutation. You've actually reversed the mutation. You fixed the mutation. You will always have the antibody, but you don't have that mutation anymore. And so when you do titer tests and you say you have a disease, some of you that have diseases, go get a titer test and count the antibodies. And if you have a lot of antibody numbers in one area, that is the one of the factors to your cancer, disease, and chronic illness. There is a direct correlation to your mutations, to how many antibodies you are holding in your body and the numbers of antibodies for a specific disease or virus or something else. So now it's like these weird double negatives. It's like taking a test in the government, right? A weak immune system. When you're so used to hearing someone say, oh, you need a strong immune system. My husband has a strong immune system and his body is degrading. I have a weak immune system, but a strong body. I'm going to outlive him if he doesn't shape up. He hardly ever gets sick. The reason why, because he has too many natural killer cells killing all the pathogens, but it's also degrading him. So it's about now or later. Do you deal with the mutations now, or you deal with reap the consequences later? And that's most of you who are off the J juice. You're going to be reaping the consequences later because you want all of this instant gratification. Oh, I don't want to be sick, so I'm going to take on the pills, powder, supplements, and all the detoxes and all the antibody acquisition protocols because I don't want to be sick to get in the way of my current lifestyle. Well, you know what? The devil will take his due. The devil always does. You pay now or you pay later. Either way, you're going to fucking pay. So either you figure out the information where I'm coming from or you go and then reap the consequences. Then you cannot bitch and complain of your outcome. And I'm sorry, I got to be frank. But somebody's got to. And you can angry face, you can be all laughing, but hey, you're the one that is creating your path in life. The ones that are laughing, don't realize. Well, they do. Ones that are laughing will just whatever. They'll be a victim of their own ignorance. I ordered before it came out. But never got it once it came out. No, you can't order it before it comes out, Trisha. I have a link on my website that actually is to the publisher. They don't do. Here's the thing. You try to order a book back when it was a first book, but you haven't followed me for very long. You've been doing your own thing. Okay, fine, that's great. But I actually have a publisher that doesn't do pre-ordering. You were still stuck with my old publisher who fucked me. And so I had to go through a whole court case against her. I won by default, and now I'm done with her. Now I have a new publisher. But the fact that you asked the question about, RH, can you change your blood type, tells me that you haven't been following me or do the protocol at the level that you should. Okay? You really need... Yeah, so you haven't been following me at all. You've been intermittently doing your thing. Okay, fine. I'm not going after anybody that has sort of, but when now you ask a question when you should be following me the last, at least 3 months, it pisses me off. Because now you want me to answer all these questions that I've already answered in my book that I have out now, that you're not getting. for whatever reason, you chose not to invest in me, and I've invested so much in all of you. I have called you. I have talked to you personally, but nobody wants to buy the book. They want to have it for free. Fine. Now you're going to reap the consequences because you still think that you can play with your stuff in the world, and yeah, you'll do J-Juice half-assed and then ask me the questions later why it is and it's working for you. I get tired of it. I really do get tired of it. Okay? So yeah, I'm reacting because I have invested time in people and they give me little return. But hey, people, hey, you know, it's what it is. They feel entitled. What can I say? I have probably a more commitment to them than they have to me. Not that I expect it, but I get tired of expending the same energy on the same people. Where is their responsibility for their freaking life? Where is it? Oh no, it's all about all of their drama and all of their questions and all their stuff. What about you just go in and get the book that I've put out there for freaking months? But what has you now come to this transmission right now, Trisha? What sparked your interest? Because of that you still buy into the strong immune system? When I've been covering the antibody acquisition for the last 3 months? Oh, I finally spoke to your listening. Well, maybe you should get the book so you can be more clarified in the information. Yeah, I answered your question. Thanks for manipulating me into then reacting to you. Thanks a lot. But that's what I deal with. I deal with people manipulating me into answering their questions because I get so pissed that I have to answer. What I need to do is just block people, really, what I need to do. Because they're not going to take this information really seriously because of everybody has their world of their religion or something else. And really, J-Juice is just really a side gig for them. It's not something that they really take into heart. And it sucks because I do expend energy on people. And my God, they can at least, you know, so, you know, whatever. I'm going to get off it. I'm going to get off it. But I'm going to let you know, if you truly want to understand indefinite life, you would get the book, invest, and actually do the protocol and understand it to the level and not ask me questions. I have a discussion forum that I've said for people to go and ask the questions. I have been blocking people. I blocked Cheryl Dosh today because she could not at all ask the questions in the discussion forum. She has to ask the questions on Facebook here. Now, some I will, when someone says, I don't understand, like Massimo Ponzi, and he hasn't really, I haven't invested in him too much. He's been always supportive. Him and his wife have always been supportive, always. Okay? And they've never really asked me a lot of questions. I had never had to call him. I never talked to him for a certain amount of time. And they're always just there. And so I feel I have a duty to some people to then answer their question because it's really rare. And then others, I've spent so much time with them that I'm like, why are you asking questions? Now you have a venue to do it. I've given you my time. Where's the return on my investment to you? Where is the return? I don't see it. So then I get I feel like I'm getting taken advantage of. And so, yeah, I'm going to react because it is about boundaries. At some point, you got to have boundaries, all of you. And when someone keeps taking and taking and taking, eventually you got to cut them off at some point. And some people aren't made for the protocol. That's for damn sure. Some people aren't made for the protocol, and it shows. And it won't last for them because something else will come up and take them a different direction. And then, you know, the energy they gave to them was all for naught. And it happens. I know people go on and off the protocol. I get it. But some people only do it because it's trendy at the moment. But can they sustain an actual life-giving protocol? Because of the pain, not all the time. And some people do need a wake-up call. And if they truly want to know my information, they'll ask the questions in my discussion forum, and I cut off the low-hanging fruit on Facebook. I do. I do it a lot. I have to. Okay? And Trisha Clark, you've been around for a while, so I don't understand what you don't understand about this information. You've been around. Those that have been around for a while, I don't understand not understanding this info. I don't get it. I really don't. And I watch the people. I mean, I know, you know, Cherie, you know, DeHaro, I talk to her a lot. I don't know to what extent she's on the protocol. I have no idea. There's a lot of people in the Yah world that I have connected with, and maybe my view on religion may conflict with their religion. And, you know, I could be offending some people. And I said, hey, if I have offended you in the religion, I'm so sorry, but this is where I'm going. You either can follow me or not. If you believe in death, then there's protocol isn't for you. And if it does, you know, if it does conflict with your religion, then maybe you need to reconsider some of your aspects of your religion and understand the power of J juice. And if not, then okay. And I have a lot of people who are religious that did leave me because my information conflicts with their religion. Okay, I get it. And so now I'm bringing it back to hormones. And bring it back to what are the 3 things that kill us? Too many antibodies, too much cancer, and a hormonal imbalance. And if you think that you should die, this protocol is not for you. And so, yeah, if you are religious and you're trying to do the J juice and you don't believe in living indefinite, then there's no reason to be in contact with me. No reason at all, because we don't have the same outlook. Religion can be very divisive. It really can. So when someone says Yah, make that equal to hormones. So Jesus, the Lord, Yah, Yahweh, Ruach, Spirit, God equals hormones. And then how you deal with your hormones is going to be whether you live or you die. That's what it comes down to. And there are people that in some religions like Christianity or whatever are taking exception to how it is I'm translating so we can all find a common ground. But the only way to find a common ground is if you actually put forth the effort to understand my info, but not completely like I don't know. I mean, I know that I've gone through a lot of growth and not all of you are taking the time to grow with me. You're coming in at different times wanting me to catch them up from the last 3 or 4 months. And okay, I understand that. But it's like, hey, you know, where's your part in this? I do have a lot more commitment to all of you than some of you have to me, and I understand that. But I want you to get that everything in this world can change. Your biochemistry can change, everything can change. And it's up to you to figure it out. And so when you have a weak immune system, you will have a strong body, and you will have indefinite life. Strong immune system does not equal a strong body. It may certain times, like my husband has a strong immune system, but he's stronger than me because his hormones are giving him bigger muscles. But over time, those antibody acquisitions is chipping away and degrading his body. So eventually I'm going to still stay the same as he is decaying. I hope he does something different, but maybe he is more invested in the here and now versus potentially the future. So that's the cross I have to bear. Okay? No problem, Trisha. You trigger me, but then you know what the reason, because I had somebody else that was just doing the same bullshit, and she's been around for a while, and I finally had to cut somebody off to where now they're only relegated to the discussion forum. Okay, because they're not doing the protocol the way they should. They're only doing, 1 to 5 10 ounces. That's basically a cup and a quarter. 6 cups a day, and you're plateauing and you're not seeing the results. You obviously got to up the dosages. And they say, oh yeah, it's a lot. Okay, I guess it's a lot, but you know what? If you're still playing in the fear campaign, you're still bitching about your current situation, and you're still afraid of everything on the internet, then obviously the juice is not helping you because it's not giving you a change in your perspective. Up the dosages. I don't want anybody inducing fear on my and I've said this a million times. If you have any questions about the protocol, go to the discussion forum. And yet they still ask the same questions. So I guess, the protocol isn't working for them because they're not taking enough of it, and they're still playing the same game. And so I have to finally put boundaries down. When you put boundaries down, you upset the homeostasis. They can't adapt. They have to now adapt to a different situation. People get too comfortable with how they interact with you, then you got to put your own boundaries and upset that homeostasis. They adapt to a different way of communicating with you. So yeah, you caught me on the heels of that. Okay, Trisha. So it's like I really am, I'm dedicated to everyone really understanding this information. I really am. And I have a book that will just give you at least a light foundation. It has about the RH, positive and negative. It has everything. Okay? It has the actual protocol. And the thing that you experienced, Trisha, in the group when you had your tongue bleeding, that was huge. That was one of the biggest, healing symptoms. That was a good example. It was a great example of what you potentially could have dodged. You could have dodged tongue cancer or something else with the tongue. I hope that you're doing well. I hope you're doing the J juice. I hope you up the levels of J juice. Sometimes it's difficult when you go back into the system and play with all the different foods. Sometimes it's good to just really take a moratorium off the foods that are so good and just do the J juice and just deal with the healing symptoms. And you can, the diet, really, you can do a lot of things with the ingredients with the diet. You can. There are, okay, pass the tumor as well. I believe it. There are ways that you can create a good meal with the diet. That's what we have. You just got to be more creative. But, we need to even if you can't stay on the diet 100%, up the dosages, you guys. If you're doing 1 to 5 cups for a long time, then you need to increase it to then maybe 12 cups. Okay, I mean, what is 4 cups in a gallon? 4 times 4 is 16. Anybody can do that in a day. You just got to plan out your waterfalls. If you are busy, then you find the time where you're going to be home for the next 3 or 4 hours. Do the 12 cups or whatever it is that's upping your dosages. Deal with the waterfalls. And then get the healing symptoms. If you're not experiencing pain on some level or seeing any change in your biochemistry, then you're not taking enough. And that's why people plateau and think that it's not working for them. So when you have someone like Timothy Barone, I looked up, Timothy, this is for you, Timothy Barone, that you might be listening. I looked up your actual profile. Yeah, you work for Amgen. You live in California. So I see why you did the angry face when I said that people are leaving California. So you work for a biotech. You went to Harvard. And you're trying to figure out this protocol. And you really got to do more than whatever it is that you're doing. If you're 150 pounds, 200 pounds, whatever, and you're a male, and you're only doing like maybe half a gallon, maybe a gallon, or even that, maybe you need to up it. If you're not seeing any kind of results, then you need to up the dosages. And I can't tell when someone is in biotech and they're saying they're doing a protocol and they're saying they're doing a gallon a day or whatever, and they're saying that they're not getting any results. I do question people's intentions based upon their background, because anybody doing a gallon a day is going to get some kind of reaction from the body. A gallon is huge. I can do 3/4 of a gallon of my juice and get waterfalls so quickly. Now, if someone is like, my husband's size, he did like, my husband's like, what, 5'9", maybe 160, 70 pounds, something like that, maybe 180 pounds. He has a little bit of a gut, but he does like 1 quart and he gets waterfalls right off the bat. So if you're doing a gallon for like 9 months, and you're not seeing any results, I question that. So then maybe, then do more than a gallon. Up it. And if you're not prepared to do that, then I don't know what to say. I guess then you can't do the protocol. So you'll be in the system. But you cannot say that the protocol doesn't work because you're not, because that's hearsay. I know people who are 150, 200 pounds doing the protocol, getting their results. But when someone says, I'm not getting the results, well, you got to question their integrity. You really do, because this is a universal protocol. And if you have a background in biotech, even currently today, I question your intentions. I really do. Because you're dealing with infusing your body with nutrition. And when you are mutated, nutrition is only going to then, the way this nutrition is structured, you will get a reaction in some way. It's going to deal with the mutations in your body in some way. And if you still say, oh, I'm not getting any kind of reaction, then I'll say to you, get off the protocol, go back in the system and live that predictable life. But don't tell me you're doing the protocol and you're not getting any kind of benefit and you won't up your dosages. Because I do question trolls. There are trolls out there that will say and do whatever it is to try to discredit this because of their background, because they have something to protect. They got to protect their investment, whether it's their degree or their MLM or whatever. And you have to question the intentions. And, we're not dealing with people who are alien. We're dealing with a universal protocol with universal human bodies. And it's a matter of how much you take in the beginning. And then if you are plateauing, then you need to up the dosages. And everybody is different. So that's why it depends upon how much you're taking, what it is that you're doing in your daily life, what you're eating, how you're dealing with the healing symptoms, all that. And you're in an uncontrolled environment. So, you got to take my juice relative to your lifestyle. What are you willing to put forth to really bring this as a priority? And some of you are only doing half-assed. Some of you say, yeah, I'm doing like a gallon a day, but I'm not getting the results. I call bullshit. I really do. Okay, so it's an individual experience. But I'm not going to have somebody cast doubt around this. Because just like anything, it's hearsay. Can you prove in a court of law that this protocol doesn't work? There's no way to prove where you're going to get the evidence this protocol doesn't work. It's relative to your intention. If your intention is to try to discredit me, you will find a way to say this protocol doesn't work. If your intention is to have this work, then you will see the power of the salt, which is the energizing force. You see the power of the probiotics. You see the power of the nutrition. And then you will understand pain in what it really means. And if you're too afraid of pain, then this protocol ain't for you. Okay? So you really have to consider all of the aspects of this protocol and see if your life can support this new biochemical change that you're embarking on. And if your life can't support it right now, then wait until you can cut down all of your priorities to where you can fit this in somewhere, even if it's like, if you have to do it once a weekend. If during the week you're so busy with all of your requirements and things that you have to do, and you know that you have to, because you have to rest at some point. People cannot just be continuously busy. You have to give yourself time to heal. So give yourself 2 days and devote to a gallon or 2 gallons on a weekend. Do waterfalls. Do 2 sets of waterfalls on a weekend. One time on Saturday and one time on Sunday. And then, yes, the healing symptoms are going to bleed over into the work week. Can you handle that? And can you explain away why it is you have all these different rashes coming to surface? Okay? But you will take on this protocol relative to your lifestyle. And some of you are not that committed. So yeah, you're going to be like, oh, I'm not getting the results. I'm only doing 2 cups a day. And who knows, somebody could be diluting it. Like, yeah, I'm doing 2 cups. They may be diluting and adding water to it, so they're not getting the concentrated amount. I don't know what people are doing. But obviously, the more you dilute it, the less effective it's going to be initially. Because you're so afraid of the taste. Well, I'm sorry, but there is nothing in my recipe book that says you have to dilute it. Maybe in the beginning, just to get used to the taste, but then eventually, yeah, you're going to have to deal with it in the most concentrated form so you get the best benefit. And Roxy Jensen goes, it's relative to your intention, biochemical change. Absolutely. How you deal with the healing symptoms, how much you drink, and what you eat. Very, very true. So I don't know what Timothy Barone is doing. I don't know what Trisha is doing. Hopefully Trisha is doing it at the level that she should. I don't know what Cheryl Dosh is doing. But, if you really have questions on whether or not this protocol is for you and whether or not you're going to get the benefit, considering all the different conditions out there, take it to my discussion forum. Okay? But if you already know this, like Roxy Jensen, she doesn't have to go through to my discussion forum. She probably doesn't even have to get the book. She already knows this. It's already innate in her. She understands this at the level to where I'm like, hey, I love participants like Roxy Jensen because she gets it. Did she have the book? I don't know. I never asked her. And I don't push the book on to someone that already knows this. It's the ones that are all fearful and have all the questions that I push the book on. If you are already in support and you understand this, then there's no reason to get the book unless you want to. And so then you are part of then, the Jilly Juice Foundation that is helping people understand this, and you're reinforcing the information to where someone could get the book, or they just say, they're like, oh, wow, Roxy Jensen understands. I guess I can understand too. And then you have the choice. You can reinforce the information, get the book, or you just do it and you have no fear because you see that people are understanding this and they have no fear either. And I don't know Roxy Jensen personally. I only know a few people personally on my Facebook. But those of you who get it will get it. Those of you who don't, then you need to go and get the book. The next step, get the book. I don't push the book on everybody. I don't even care if you get the book. If you do, great. But if you have to make me expend energy, then yes, you need to get the book because you're forcing me to respond to you. But if you've been supportive, and Massimo Ponzo, he's been supportive, and his wife has been supportive, and they don't tax me too much. But yes, something like weak immune system and strong body is indefinite life. That can be a little jolting for someone that's so used to hearing, strong as the best, because strong doesn't always mean the best. Like you can have a strong mutated person, like Schwarzenegger, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He has a very strong body. He probably has a very strong immune system too. But but over time, it really is a weak body, because look at him, he's degrading. So a weak immune system means you have a strong body, but you have a strong immune system. But what is strong? See, that's where words get kind of fucked up. Because you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, he has a strong body and a strong immune system. But overall, he's on a death trajectory, so it really is weak. That's why this is so difficult to kind of get across to people. But I'm glad that Massimo really had that question, because it is very it seems like the double negative. How can weak be strong? How can somebody weak have indefinite life? Because it's a matter of the context. Immunity is antibodies. It causes mutations. It chips away at the weaknesses already in your vital organs. This is why people hate the vaccines, but then people who are anti-vax are taking in antibody acquisitions, so they're no different than the pro-vax people. That's why I got away from the activism, because they're both two sides of the same coin. Okay? So, a weak immune system is a strong body, it's indefinite life. Strong immune system, weak body, death is your outcome, it's a matter of when. Immunity equals antibodies. And then Roxy Jensen goes 1 to 3 months to purge a lifetime of parasites, fungus, yeast, mold, candida, oils, metals. Yeah, anything extra to cause an imbalance, because you need a certain amount of metals, you need a certain amount of yeast, you need a certain amount of antibodies, you need a certain amount of hormones, right? But anything excess that is causing an imbalance will then be finally, leveled out. And then you'll be more calm. But I'd occasionally get triggered, because I want to see Trisha Clark. See, the thing with Trisha, I went off on her. But the reason why is because I am dedicated. When I go off on somebody, when I give somebody my energy, my hormones, it's because I am committed to them. It's not like when I block someone, it's like I want to cut off all communication. Now, I have cut off people in my discussion forum because they're passed along information like cutting down the salt in the protocol, and that is a no-no. You never ever alter the recipe and put it out there that you did that in my website. That is like the ultimate crossing the line, because when you cut down the recipe to where you lessen the salt, you are now triggering me into that PTSD of the salt fears way back in the beginning when everyone was freaking out about the salt. So anybody cutting the recipe on alternate because they don't like the taste of it, I get rid of and I cut off the communication, because I am not trying to convince them. We know the taste isn't beautiful in the beginning. So you do what you got to do, but you stay with the recipe and you find a way to gradually get in the protocol to where then you can handle the taste and handle the amount of salt. And even today, some of the times when I drink the recipe, it's very salty. But you know what? I choke it down, and then when I'm thirsty, I drink the water, and then I see amazing differences because I know the power. Even the taste isn't always good. I know the power. And sometimes the taste is reflective of the biochemistry. So it does taste better over time, sometimes. It just depends upon what you ate prior and how your biochemistry is that day. But you know the power, and sometimes the different ferments have different tastes based upon just different factors. It doesn't mean that it's any less or any more. It's just sometimes conditions are different in each of the jars. But you still have lactobacillus being created. It's still nutrients, and you still have the salt, you still have the water, and you still have the outcome. Okay? So, just stick with the recipe. Don't alter it. Even some of the websites out there that have tried to slam me, the Jilly Juice Made Simple. Okay? The Jilly Juice Made Simple website used to, I guess, alter it, and now they've kept it to the recipe that it is today. And I'm actually honored that they didn't alter it to make it 1.5 teaspoons, because that's not giving anybody any kind of benefit. That's already out there in the matrix, 1.5 teaspoon. What was the difference was when I actually made it to 1 tablespoon, and it was a typo, but it was a very prophetic typo. And so that's what then catapulted me into this next hemisphere, into the healing and the pain and everything else. So the salt is the major component, along with what it's paired with, is what is the driving force. So yes, I do have boundaries. If somebody's going to alter my recipe and they put it in my website, I will cut off all communication. And then now you only have YouTube, because I will put my videos on YouTube. And then you will get that reinforcement for those that I've cut off on Facebook, as well as my website. And now YouTube is your only go-to, because I won't block anyone from YouTube. You can't anyways. If it's public, then it's public. Everybody can see it. But I don't have any comments. I disabled the comments, so I don't have to deal with that. And I think everyone should disable comments on the YouTube, because you have all these weirdo people that are putting forth these aggressive YouTube channels that are hurting people. So, I'd rather just leave the information the way it is, and you take it or leave it. So there's always, even when I cut off communication with somebody in one venue, they always have other venues. And if they really truly want to repair their relationship in some way and take responsibility in some way, they can send me an email and I will consider it. I don't hold grudges. I just want to know that we're on the same page and that you just can't keep crossing my boundaries. That's all. An acknowledgement that, yes, okay, maybe I did do this and whatever. And I'll say, hey, maybe I reacted and who knows. And we're on a happy medium. And then you don't play that game anymore and I won't react anymore. And now everybody's happy. That's all I want. Somebody to just, give me an inch. Don't take a mile. Find a way where you are responsible in why I reacted. Okay? Because, yeah, there are people that don't make me react. And there are people that do. And you got a question. Right, George. Because it's the amount of energy. When you lessen the salt, you lessen the energy to then energize the nutrients, to then energize the healing. That's the difference. You have to have the salt to energize the nutrients, to then energize the healing process. And then it's the amount that you take, and then it's how much you do on a daily basis. And you have to keep increasing dosages every week, every 5, whatever it is. If you're plateauing, then you up the dosages. And you drink water when you're thirsty. Okay? So thank you, Massimo, for your happy face. I think you get it now, right? Did I answer your question, Massimo? Okay. So, I am very committed that you all understand this. And there's always recourse, and there's always a venue where you will still get my information, even if I cut you off in one of my venues. And if you're savvy and you understand that I have different ways of communicating, you will find a way to communicate with me and show me how committed. So then I'll let you on to this low-hanging fruit called social media, because Facebook is low-hanging fruit. It is for the reactive people. As you can see, I react. So Facebook is for the reactive. And if you're that reactive on the protocol and you're afraid and you're fearful, then this isn't the venue for you. You need to think about what it is that you're fearful of and then articulate it through my website, which will then force you to then log in and create a thread and then wait for someone to respond. Okay? And that does take premeditation. Facebook is like, easy reaction. It's a place to throw up. Facebook is a place to throw up. What you're throwing up is going to be the difference of whether or not you're going to be on my Facebook or in my discussion forum. Okay? All right, I'm going to go, but I want to make sure that was clear. I'm glad I helped you out, Massimo. Talk to you guys later. Bye.